Frustrating, isn't it? When things don't go our way. We make plans, put things in place, make schedules, appointments, decisions, and yet still what we planned to happen did not eventuate. It shouldn't be this way, not when we were so careful and meticulous with our plans. With all this considered, is it too much to ask for just a little control? Today, I'm going to show you through Stoicism and my own experiences that there is only one thing that we can control and is truly ours. Think of the things in your life right now that you are certain are yours to have and control. I'm sure you can list off many without too much thought, right? Your possessions would be an obvious one, your car, house and clothing. We could add to that our reputation, status and wealth. How about our body? Surely that too is ours and in our control to use. Our family too, they're ours, right? Our children, siblings, parents and cousins. Not to control as such, there's laws against that, but we like to think that we are in control of what happens to our family. Stoicism, however, would argue that none of them are truly ours to have, keep indefinitely, or control. How can this be? And if it's true, then how can this help us? Power and control are so important to us. Without them, we often end up feeling helpless. This is true, but when we go looking for the control we need in the wrong places, we are only going to be met with feelings like frustration, anger, and helplessness. When we start to understand where this power exists, then we can see we no longer need to experience these feelings again, giving us total control over how we are affected. Why has this been so important to me? Because when I experienced these negative emotions and responses, they made my chronic pain more intrusive. And to improve the quality of my life, I had to find a way to eliminate them. Because of this, I became an expert in this area. I had to survive. How can we begin to understand what is ours and what is in our control? Well, we need a test, a standard, which we can apply to any situation we encounter. Just as we don't accept that something weighs XYZ without putting it to the test on a set of scales, we need to do the same to the things in life we think we have control over. In Discourses, Epictetus provides us with such a standard that we can employ. What is truly ours to control and what belongs to us must be free from being restrained, can't be impeded nor taken from us. Not just at a specific time or place, but in all conditions, at all times, and no matter where we are. We can apply these tests to anything we might think of as ours and see if they pass. So let's look at the examples I mentioned earlier and see just how they stack up. Firstly, material possessions, our house and car, our belongings. Can we be impeded from using these? Can they be taken from us? While someone most likely isn't going to steal our house, our car and other belongings can easily be taken from us. Our house might not be whisked away by a thief, but fire, storms, earthquakes and floods can take them from us. Authorities can prevent us from entering our dwellings under certain conditions too. Clearly then, our material possessions are not fully under our control nor ours to possess for as long as we choose. We might think we decide how long we have our car for, but an apt thief will prove us wrong in the matter of seconds. We can spend years working on our reputation, improving our status and building up wealth. Through smart choices, we're careful to impress the right people, to work hard to advance ourselves and be fairly compensated for our efforts. But are any of these things set in concrete once we have them? Can our reputation be undone despite being so careful? During Marcus Aurelius' time, reputations were undone by scandal, gossip and rumour, just the same as today, even if totally unfounded. Seneca, once a tutor to Nero, was implicated in the Personnian conspiracy to kill Nero and, with his reputation damaged, was forced to take his own life. In our day and age, with trial by social media, our reputations are even less secure. Our status too can be taken from us. Many have risen to high levels of office in history through hard work and dedication, only to have been stripped of that status, sometimes through no fault of their own. Fortunes have been taken from people by thieves, enemies, friends and family, nature itself and the state. Even the most secure vault in the world doesn't give us absolute power and control over our fortune. But our body, though, surely that much is ours to control. We decide when we sit down, when we walk, when and what we eat, how we look after it. We see those who spend countless hours on their body, creating muscular physiques, those that prefer the lean look of a runner, or those that are just happy with what they've got. We control all that, don't we? It is our body after all. Tell me, have you ever been sick? Laid up in bed with an aching body that just doesn't have the strength to get up? Have you ever been injured, leaving you unable to participate in life the way you'd like? If we're put in handcuffs, could we move how we want with total freedom and control? How about if we were put in jail? Can we go anywhere we like, eat what we want and when we want? Even at work, we're often tied to our desk, unable to get away to do what we like until it's the end of our working day. Once again, this fails the test. We do not have absolute power or control over our own body. Even those we care about, family and friends, are not in our power or control to decide how long they'll be in our lives for. We've all lost someone important to us, whether they have passed on or moved away. Our children are not in our lives for as long as we want. If they were, no child would die before their parents. We know all too well that this happens. People we think will be in our lives forever rarely ever are. None of these have passed our test so far. They've all fallen at least one hurdle, if not multiple. They can all be denied or taken from us, can be impeded and restrained. And they're not the only things we try to control that we can't. The weather, other people's behaviour and what they think of us, outcomes like how our favourite sports team performs or how our job interview went, opinions of those that we interact with, the list goes on, and not one single thing on that list is truly ours to control. So what is then? We've established that all the things I just mentioned, things that are external to us, are not in our power. Yet there is one thing that we do have domain over, one thing that cannot be taken from us, that we can't be impeded from accessing, that can't be restrained. And this one thing can actually give us the control we have been fruitlessly searching for in everything else. What we truly have domain over, the only thing that we can fully control, is our will. This governs not only our actions, our thoughts and reactions, but our ability to reason too. Epictetus tells his students, we don't control what happens to us, but we control how we respond to what happens. We find Epictetus talking often about the importance of the faculty of reason to make good use of our impressions. It's one of the things that he says separates us from the animals we share this earth with. Our impressions are the events that happen in our lives and the imprint that they make on us. If we are walking down a dark street and we hear a noise, the first impression we might get is one of danger, a threat lurking in the shadows. An animal, say a cat, would get the same impression. However, they react without reason, seeking protection by immediately escaping. Whereas we, through good use of reason, can overcome our initial impression of danger when we realise it was just someone putting their rubbish bin out for collection. Our ability to use reason and make decisions based off that lead to our actions, our thoughts and reactions, is what we control. Nothing else. Not what caused the noise to frighten us, not other people's behaviour, not the weather, and not our possessions. Everything that happens in our lives provides us with an impression, and what we make of that is up to us. Stoicism, through Epictetus in particular, stresses this concept, that events are neither good nor bad, that they only provide us with an imprint. And it's a concept that I discovered for myself on my journey before hearing of Stoicism. Now that we have an understanding of what is in our control and is truly ours, our will and all that encompasses, and that everything else, externals, are not under our control, how can this knowledge help us, and how can it give us total control over what happens in our lives? Nearly 3 decades ago, I experienced a life-changing event, one that most people would describe as bad, a tragedy, or unfortunate. To me, though, it was always just an event, neither good nor bad. That part has always been up to me, the same as it is for all of us, no matter what we experience. What happened to me was out of my control. What was fully in my control was what I made of it. Taking this approach gave me total power over how this event unfolded in my life. Most of us have heard the phrase, with great power comes great responsibility. I read this flipped around a few years ago in Mark Manson's book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a and, well, I prefer it that way instead. With great responsibility comes great power. It's easy to blame others or life for our troubles, and sometimes there is some legitimacy to this. But taking responsibility for where we find ourselves and what we do about that, how we respond, gives us great power. Let me explain using my experience. Despite living with severe constant pain and a paralysed arm for the past 28 years, those years have been the best years of my life. No, scratch that, not despite, rather because. I was put into a situation where I had no control over the extent of my injuries and the damage done. I live with constant pain every moment and have to adapt to living in an able-bodied world. If I'd given in to my impressions that this experience was horrifically painful and physically overwhelming, that the pain and injury were in control of how I felt, then I'd be giving up responsibility for my decisions and would end up feeling powerless. Instead, by making good use of my ability to reason with these impressions, then I can take control of how this will affect me. I can see that yes, this injury is incredibly painful, but that pain can only hurt. It cannot harm me. I can see that yes, having to do things with one arm constantly is challenging, but not impossible. Taking great responsibility for my decisions has given me all the power to decide the narrative of my life. It has given me all the control of this situation I will ever need. I'm in charge, not the pain, not the paralysis, not the externals, not even life. Everyone has found themselves in a situation that is out of their control, where we feel powerless to decide our fate. But we always have control over how we respond to these situations. Every event that happens to us in life presents us with a choice. As attributed to Epictetus, every situation has two handles, one which we can hold, smooth and light, while the other heavy and harsh, and cannot be supported. That's where the power we are searching for resides, in the decisions that we make. Did someone do something to us that disrupts us? We could choose to stew in this all day long and into the next one too, frustrated by their lack of consideration, let it eat away at us and ruin our day. That would be the handle which is heavy and harsh. Or we can take it by the smooth handle, embrace that we cannot control how others act and adjust our response or reaction to one that helps us rather than harming us. Yes, we have to choose to do this, but stewing over it is also a choice. Marcus Aurelius, in the first entry in Book 2 of Meditations, writes, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I will deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil." Much later, in Book 9, we read, "When you run up against someone else's shamelessness, ask yourself this, is a world without shameless people possible? No. Then don't ask for the impossible. There have to be shameless people in the world. This is one of them." He understands that other people's behaviour is not in his control, that he will have to interact with people who are rude and shameless, and to ask for a world without these people is impossible. He knows they do wrong not because they choose to, but because they don't know better, and that's important. So what is left to control? His response. While Marcus, as ruler of Rome, interacted with different people at a different time than us, nothing much has changed. Since the beginning of time, people have acted in ways that make them untrustworthy, dangerous, ignorant, insensitive, and inconsiderate. And all of us have at some stage acted in those ways too. I see a lot of this in the pain community. Many of them experience this sort of behaviour from not only doctors and other health professionals, but also friends and family. They ask, why would people be this way and how can we change them? We know the answer already. We can't change them. Only how we respond. Wouldn't it be great if everyone was considerate and sensitive to other people's needs, if no one was rude, arrogant, or untrustworthy? Yes, but impossible. So either we keep trying to control what we can't, other people, and end up feeling frustrated, angry, resentful, and depressed, or we take what we can control, our will, our ability to reason with our impressions, and make decisions that are better for us. How can we avoid feelings of anger towards people that we feel have done us wrong? It's all good to say that we don't control other people's actions, but we need a way to lessen the impact that their behaviour has on us. Within Stoicism, there's a few ways we can help with this, and I've found them to be incredibly useful. Stoicism and many other philosophies stress that it's important to realise that everyone only does what they believe to be right. Whether that's for them or others doesn't matter. No one willingly does what they know to be wrong. Hang on a second, you say. A burglar. He knows what he's doing wrong by breaking into our homes and stealing from us. Yes, he may know for the victims of his crime and society it is wrong, but for him, it's the right thing to do. Is he correct? He might be stealing to put food on his family's table, or it could be due to addiction or antisocial feelings. To him, then, he is right. But to society as a whole, no, he's not right in committing this act. He is blind to what is right and wrong, lost as such. He needs to be shown the correct way. As Marcus said, they are like this because they can't tell good from evil. They're essentially lost. When we encounter someone who is physically lost, they can't find their way to their destination, we don't berate them, ridicule and judge. No, we point them in the correct direction and, if needed, walk with them until they arrive safely. Epictetus uses this as an example. It is our responsibility to correct those who are lost, who are blind from right and wrong. Of course, I'm not blind, and neither is Stoicism, I'm sure, to the fact that some people choose to be not corrected, and that's where we need punishments and incarceration. However, if we realise that that person who just cut us off in traffic did it because they thought that lane change was the right thing for them to do, or the person who we thought was rude to us or acted without shame did so because they felt it was for their good, then we can lessen the impact their actions have on us. We all act in our own best interest at times, made an error when driving, been short with someone because we felt justifiably annoyed about something. Leading on from this, Epictetus and other Stoic philosophers make it clear that we cannot be undone nor harmed by the actions of others, but only harmed by ourselves when we respond with feelings like anger or frustration. When someone acts in a manner that we find offensive, we have to be complicit in their behaviour for it to have any impact. If we imagine ourselves criticising a rock, who is harmed by this? Not the rock, that's for sure. We will be harmed. We will be worked up, agitated and emotional. Being like a rock does not mean we are devoid of emotion like some might argue. It means that we are not complicit in accepting other people's rudeness. When someone is rude or abrasive to us, it's an important time, I feel, to make good use of our ability to reason with our impressions. Think about it for a moment. Have you ever been preoccupied with something troubling you and maybe not been as accommodating to someone else as you might like? Maybe we just found out a family member is gravely ill. Maybe a pet has passed. Maybe we're struggling to make ends meet when another unexpected bill arrives. None of us are perfect. We all have acted sharply or abrasively with someone when we really didn't mean to. Ultimately, whether they meant to be this way or not, it's important to remember we can only harm ourselves through how we respond and act. Forgiveness to those that transgress us isn't a gift to them, it's a gift to ourselves. This doesn't mean that we should allow ourselves to be treated poorly by others. Stoics are not pushovers. If people are not willing to listen to reason and adjust their behaviour around us, then they are people we are best not to be associated with. When you sit down with someone covered in dirt, you are bound to have some of that dirt rub off onto you. Even so, we're still not trying to control how others act, we're controlling what we can, how we respond. Living with something out of my control, and so intrusive, has shown me the importance of this. We all blame things out of our control for how we feel. Traffic made me angry, work made me mad, pain makes me frustrated and hate. This last one I see constantly. Pain makes me feel angry, sad, frustrated, resentful, jealous, hateful, violent. It should be no surprise to you that I disagree with these statements, and so would Stoicism. These are impressions that we get, and they may be initially understandable, just like when a loud sudden noise happens and we jump with fright. But then we reason what the sound was, and we know it was nothing to fear, so we let go of that feeling to be scared. Holding on to it after knowing there was no threat is a choice, a decision we make. So it is with pain too. Our initial response may be anger or frustration, as it has been for me in the past when the pain rips into you while trying to do something or focus on a task at hand. But holding on to that anger for any longer becomes a choice, one that does not benefit us or anyone. Not letting go is us choosing to be angry, frustrated or sad. It's us choosing to give up power and control, choosing to feel helpless, trapped, choosing to harm ourselves. The more often we take this control and apply it correctly, the easier it is to find when we need it. We condition ourselves to respond this way. I know this firsthand through 28 years of living with pain that stays with me day in and day out. I've conditioned my response to one of embracing and loving my fate, not fighting it. We change habits, Epictetus tells us, by employing the opposite habit. How often have you found yourself trying to control outcomes? From chatting to someone we are romantically interested in, going to a job interview, or being summoned to the boss's office for a performance review. Even giving a speech or performance, we want the audience to like what we do. We know how to talk to someone, but put us in front of a prospective partner and we might get all tongue-tied. When applying for that job, we know our abilities and are sure we're right for the role, but find ourselves struggling to act confidently in the interview. We've written and rehearsed the speech we are to give until we know it word for word and can speak clearly when we practice. But as we stand in front of the assembled crowd, our knees start to shake and our mouths go dry. Why is this? We know what we are capable of. My second eldest daughter has been training in dance since she was 4 years old. She is a very capable performer and this year won a partial scholarship to a respected dance school overseas. Recently, she had to learn a routine and perform it in front of a well-known industry figure, and despite having learnt it to perfection, still was a bundle of nerves when it came time to perform it. Once again, why? She knows she can perform it. She knows it inside out. But her confidence starts to shake as she approaches the audition. She, of course, is trying to control something she cannot, and there is a price to pay for this. Every time she will be trying to control what she can't, she's taking resources away from what she can control. Think of your focus as a $10 bill. If you spend 4 of those dollars on something you cannot control, then you are not only throwing your money away, but you have less to spend on focus in areas you can control, the process. We need a rule that we can apply to situations like this, and Epictetus gives us one in the lectures contained within Discourses. The correct application of caution and confidence. On the surface, these two seem to be unlikely companions. How can we be both cautious and confident when approaching a situation? Firstly, where should we be exercising caution? In the actions of others or ourselves? As we've established, it is only our will that we can control, our thoughts, actions, reactions, how we reason with impressions. With that power and control at our disposal, should we be confident or cautious in our behaviour? We need to be cautious. Impressions strike us in many ways, and they may not be as they first appear. For this reason, we need to be sure that we are seeing our impressions for what they are. As Epictetus writes, don't let the force of the impression when it first hits you knock you off your feet. Just say to it, hold on a moment, let me see who you are and what you represent. Let me put you to the test. Is what we're seeing or experiencing really what it is, or are we being deceived? Is that a noise we need to worry about? Is that pain something we need to act on? Is this something we can control? Here we can see clearly that it is within us that we need to be cautious with how we reason with impression, how we act, react, and think. That leaves things outside the will, externals. If we act with caution towards the will, does that mean that we can act with confidence towards externals, what we can't control? Yes. Let me demonstrate. Take the speech given example. You have researched the topic extensively and know all the points you need to make, and how to explain and demonstrate them. You have practiced the speech until you've got the delivery nailed. You get yourself to the auditorium on time and are completely prepared for what you're about to do. You've been cautious with your approach to not overlook any small detail. So, where can we be confident? With how the audience receives our speech. You've already taken care, great care actually, of the process. How Jane, Bob, Sarah, Sam, and the hundreds of others in the audience react to it is out of your control. There is nothing you can do that will influence their response beyond what you have done in the process of preparation. With this in mind, do we then fret and worry over how we will be received? No, because there is no further action we can take to change or influence this. The same for my daughter's audition. She had learnt the routine, practiced it extensively, had it nailed down tight. But still, I found myself in conversation with her over doubts she had about her ability to get the result she desired. This result she wanted, the outcome she was trying to control, was that the judge would like her performance. Realizing she had no influence over this, she was then able to approach the situation with greater confidence, and she performed the routine just as she had every other time. The outcome didn't matter, the process did. As a side note, she got a glowing assessment and the role. The same applies to this video you are watching. I have zero control over the outcome, only the process. So I'm cautious about the words I use, the way I phrase my sentences. I've lived this experience, so I kind of know the topic better than anyone. But how you, the viewer, receives this message is out of my hands. Well, hand. You might not agree. You might not like the sound of my voice or the way I present myself. None of that is in my control. So I'm cautious about what I say, the process, but I can approach with total confidence how my words will be received. The process is what I control, where I need to be cautious. The outcome, I can be confident with. Whether my work is liked or not by the audience doesn't change its validity to me. The way in which we respond to events in life is fundamental to living a peaceful life. There are so many things that we try to control, but we just can't. However, as we have seen, there are ways in which we have power over how things affect us. Even events in life that we choose to participate in, like going to a concert. It's hot, uncomfortable, noisy, and bustling with people. We choose to go there, knowing full well it would be this way. We can't control the conditions, but we can control whether we attend in those conditions or not, and how we respond to that choice. And this extends to events that most of us don't want to experience, including death. We can't avoid it. It is out of our control. It is inevitable. Epictetus is quoted as saying, "I must die, but must I die bawling?" We, for the most part, can't control how long we'll be alive for, but we can control our thoughts and fears about it. The Stoics argue that no one's mind can be coerced to believe what it doesn't want to believe, that it can't be forced to think something is good or bad for you, that it's night when we know it's day. Maybe in the back of your mind through this video, you've been thinking that your power of thought can be manipulated, maybe through threats of punishment to you or your loved ones, maybe even worse. Maybe under the threat of death, you can be coerced to believe what you know to be false. Well, hopefully you and I never find ourselves in this situation. Hopefully it's just reserved for the movies. That decision lies with us. For sure, we could sacrifice our character and save our life by agreeing to something we don't believe, but this would only be choosing to value something external over our will. This is really a topic of its own, and it will get its own episode. But as far as Stoicism views this, sacrificing our character to save our life is not good for us. We haven't escaped death by doing this, we've merely postponed it. We will still shed this mortal coil one day, maybe the following day. Whether it's with our character intact or not, our integrity held up, our Stoic philosophy held strong, is up to whether we hold our will, our actions, our reactions and thoughts, our ability to reason with impressions above everything else, including life itself. No, we can't control the weather, other people, injury and sickness, nor outcomes. We do not control how long we possess our wealth, our status, or reputation, just like we don't control how long people are in our lives, or, for that matter, how long we're in theirs. All of this and more is out of our power. As Epictetus said to his students, we don't control what happens to us, but we control how we respond to what happens. Whether that is what people think of us, the response to the speech we gave, injury or sickness, even death itself. It's up to us what we make of these events. We can choose to respond in a way that harms us or in a way that helps us, and that does give us the power to control everything we will ever need.